men. Not so with this man in Mark's text. This is the story. And what I like about Mark's interpretation of this man's story is that he is bringing his son to the master. Say the master. Now, he does not tell us who this man is, you see. He does not tell us if this man is black or white, rich or poor, educated or uneducated. Is he a graduate from Tri-C or is he a graduate from Harvard? Does he live in the hood or the suburbs? All he says is it's a man who takes his son to Jesus. It is a man who takes his son to church. He does not leave his autograph, but he leaves his footprints in church. And so we learn certain kinds of things from this man. What do we learn? We learn, first of all, a father cannot take his son to church unless he's in church himself. Have I got a witness in the house? A father cannot teach the son, cannot teach the son about Jesus unless he knows Jesus for himself. This man is a believer. Say a believer. He is a man of faith. He believes in Jesus, the Messiah of Christ, who is also the healer. And Matthew's go further. He tells us that when the man comes, he comes kneeling. He came and kneeled before Jesus, which means he didn't just come to church to meet Jesus, but he came to participate in the meeting. I wish I had a witness in the house. Too many of us come to church just to come to church. We want to meet Jesus, but we don't want to do anything with Jesus. When we come to church, we ought to come to church to lift up holy hands unto the Lord. The Bible says, Paul spoke in the book of Timothy. He says to Timothy, Timothy, I wish that all men would lift up holy hands unto God. When you come to church, you ought to come to church ready to participate. Have I got a witness in the house? You ought not to allow that choir to sing the songs of Zions for you, but rather you ought to have a song in your heart. You ought not to allow nobody to praise God for you. You ought to thank God for yourself because you know how far the Lord has brought you. Have I got a witness in the house? You can sit there as if God ain't done nothing for you, but I stop by to tell you, God has brought all of us from a mighty long ways. Have I got a witness in the house? In fact, he's not brought us from a mighty long ways. He's brought some of us from a mighty through danger seen and unseen. It was caused by his amazing grace. Ain't grace amazing? And so he didn't come there just to be a spectator, but he came there to be a participator. The text says in the 9th chapter of Mark, it says he came kneeling. And what was he kneeling? He came not only to meet Jesus, but he came to pray to Jesus. He didn't just come, if you will, in modern day language, to show up, but he came to show out. Have I got a witness in the house? Somebody said just a little talk with Jesus makes everything. I wish we would sing that sometime there, James. Just a little talk with Jesus makes everything. No, we say just a little pill makes everything all right. Just a little attitude makes everything all right. We say just a little profanity will make everything all right. But the songwriter said just a little talk with Jesus will make everything. Rock in a weary land, way out of no way, friend in an unfriendly world. He can calm my spirit. He can calm my mind. He is my everything. And when I have just a little talk with Jesus, I wake up in the morning and everything is all right, even in advance. He came believing in faith. Say he came believing in faith. And he came believing that the Lord could do something. And the text seems to indicate that's what led him to church. What was it that led him to church? It was his problem. Can I tell you something? My son's problems are my problems. My children's problems are my problems. Now, my adult men are their problems. Did y'all get that? But my son's problems are my problems also too. You see, I'm not just a part-time father. I'm a full-time father. And I'm not just a father until the boy gets 21. Because if the boy gets to be 21 and I'm not his father, he will talk to me like I'm his son. Do I have a man in the house? He'll be telling me what to do, telling me where to go. And then I'll have to take him to the side, take him to the shed at that old age. But the truth of the matter is, his problem are also my problem. Sometimes what God does is he allows problems in our lives so that we will come to church. That man had a sick son, so sickness brought him to Jesus, and his disciples, says the text, could do nothing. Say, could do nothing. Secondly, these words indicate that this man, father, loved his son. Say, loved his son. He says, Master, I brought to you my son. And the reason why I brought my son to you, because I love my son. You see, I'm talking to men right now. The truth of the matter is, some of us think that to tell our children that we love them makes us as men soft. You know, that intimate, oozy feeling called love, you know, and we think that that kind of a thing ought to be given to the responsibility of mothers. Say, mothers. And so we don't tell our sons we love them. We ought to tell our sons we love them. Say, love them. Yes, we ought to tell our sons we love them. We are concerned about them. This is not just the job of the mother. You see, the problem with some fathers who are distanced from their son, they're distanced from their son because their fathers were distanced from them. And so their fathers never held them, and so they don't hold their son. Their father never told them how much they were proud of them and how much they loved them. And so when the boy grew up, you know, it became a vicious cycle, and all of a sudden that son becomes distant with his father, and then the son after that becomes distant with that other father, because the father believes that it's not his responsibility to tell them that he loves them. And that's what I can appreciate about my dad, Fleming. He would always tell us, boys, I love every one of you. And I would always say to him, do you love me like Raymond? He said, no, I don't love you like Raymond, because you're not Raymond. I love you like Larry. And I said to my Raymond, he doesn't love you like he loves me. But he was always telling me, I love you. Say, I love you. Boys need to be held. Boys need to be embraced. Boys need to be lifted up. Boys need to be told, you are loved by your daddy, not just your mother, but me and your mother love you. This man loves his son. Say, loves his son. The truth is, a father has the capacity to love a child as strong as a mother, just differently. A mother's touch is great, but a man's hand can be protective also. And don't let no one fool you. The man ain't out there working day in and day out. The brother ain't out there giving up all his time, sweating, etc., because he doesn't love his children. That's why he's out there working hard, because he in fact does love his children, and he does love his family, and he is a protective man if he's a real man, and he's a protective father if he's a real father. And so he takes care of his family. He expresses his love for his family, but the love may be expressed differently than the mother. The father in this text loved his son. Say, loved his son. And he expressed it in a desire for, he expressed it in his desire by rejoicing in the child's well-being. He wanted his son to be healed. And when the boy got sick, Daddy got sick, he loved playing with the boy, if you will, in the sandbox, taking him to school, playing ball with him, bouncing him up and down, giving him all kinds of horsey rides like our dad used to do. But one day, the text said that the boy got sick. Say, the boy got sick. But don't just think of daddy just as a meal ticket. Many of us know how to handle our kids and family when they get sick. We take them to Jesus. Have I got a witness, brothers? We take our sons to Jesus. The father did not relegate his responsibility to others, but he handled his own business. Say, he handled his own business. Notice he said, Master, I brought unto thee my son. Master, watch that word. I'm going to close right here because I'm ready to eat breakfast. He says, Master, I brought unto you my son. Can I say it again? You didn't get it. He says, Master, I brought the boy. Now, can I close on this? The problem is, here again, it's just not men, it's not just women, but it's family. We are relegating the responsibility of raising our children to too many other folk. We want a babysitter to always take care of our children. When we go to school, we don't do anything else but take our children to school, and we relegate the responsibility of training and teaching our children to the teacher. We don't check in, we don't think about it, we don't do other things. He says, I brought my son. I brought him myself. When we go on to cruises, we don't think about taking the little children with us, but rather we find that place on the cruise ship where they take care of children. Have I got a witness? Somebody said, yeah, I'm going to do it next year too. But he said, like a good father, I brought my son. My son was sick. My son needed some help. My son needed Jesus. My son needed a healing touch from the Lord. I brought him. I didn't leave it up to the mother. I didn't leave it up to anybody else. But I brought my son. And one thing that I'm grateful to my daddy for was all the things that my daddy did for me. How about you? Stand on your feet. We need fathers. We don't need them in jail. We don't need them on the street selling drugs. We don't need them abusing women. We need them ourselves. And I am a greater man today because my father brought every one of us, boys and girls, to Jesus. How about your dad? He didn't drop us off at church and say, listen, I'll be back in an hour when church is over to pick you up. No, my daddy went all the way and brought us to the Lord. And if I'm grateful for anything, I'm grateful for the fact that my daddy introduced me to his Jesus. Aren't you grateful for that? As you bow your heads in a word of thanks unto God, just tell God how grateful you are.